Hello. Welcome back to my channel. Always so happy to find you here. Welcome to any new subscribers. I am delighted and thrilled to have you. Hope you stay for a good long while. Bring a friend with you next time. I am overjoyed with your subscription. Here I am with an additional piece to Juneteenth, which I plan on uploading today on Juneteenth. So happy Juneteenth, and I hope you celebrate it well. I hope you celebrate it by doing something special, doing something educational, doing something that would lift your spirits. And speaking of lifting your spirits, as I was recording the upload that I did on Monday, which encouraged everyone to do something with the holiday, to learn something about what Juneteenth is. And the fact that it's never been taught in schools or even mentioned quite a bit in the media, doesn't prevent you from learning something about it today, particularly with this fancy thing called the internet, which I love. I love it. I love it. To learn facts. But remember, for facts, you have to also be able to disseminate and understand the facts. So that's what Monday's upload was about. But today is Juneteenth. And as I was recording that, I was hearing myself say, an invitation to anyone who is not Black, not of our culture, to participate as well. And I put a comment in that you are definitely wanted, invited, and welcomed. And as I was saying that, I just kind of thought to myself for a minute that, where did the thought that you were never wanted, invited, and welcome come from? When it was never conveyed by the culture as a whole. So that's what this video is about. And I guess for some reason I'm feeling a preference to preface it. So I'm prefacing it with, please have an understanding that this is a compassion recognition more than anything else. Okay, so having said that, I am becoming clearly aware that the separation, division, separateness in the understanding of the reception between anyone else in Black cultures is there seems to be some thought that if you're not in the Black culture, you're not welcome there. Well, this is nonsense. This is nonsense. This is incorrect. And we need to reprogram that. And so for me, I'm hoping, intending, and desiring from this that you hear this from me in an effort to unprogram and unwire the wrongness that you're carrying, respectfully. Respectfully. And I say that to say this. The last few videos that I did regarding this whole P. Diddy situation, I recall saying that so many, even of Black men, were so disturbed by that. And that none of us had ever seen such a thing. But that seemed to carry the thought that that's how Black people behave. Well, no, that's how that person who happens to be Black behave. And that's what I mean by that. There is a collective understanding that whatever one Black person does, they're all that. And that can be further than the truth. And so the media plays up a violence, a disturbance, a darkness, an aggression, an attitude. They are this, and it negativizes who Blacks are as a people and as a culture. And it's reflective to all of us, when actually none of us are that way. That was that person, you see. That was that person. Now, I know this is Juneteenth, but Juneteenth is about emancipation. So let's emancipate the thought that's carried about us and set free that thought that doesn't represent us. Okay? Lovingly. Lovingly. And here to me are five things. So here to me are 5 things that have cemented that point of view. One is your upbringing. You could have been, may have been, probably have been reared in a home to where you heard such talk. And it became who you are in your understanding that was not developed enough to pivot away from it. So it became your upbringing could have been from uninformed folks that brought you up, reared you up. It could have been from a history of disdain towards an entire people, whatever it was, but the upbringing component is there. That's what I call the upbringing. To me is the basement piece. That's number 1. Number 2 is the media, what I call meania, MEAN. Yeah, mean. They're mean about the way they represent Black people as a whole. When there is a peaceful protest, they call it a riot. When there is a march on Washington, they call it a stampede. When there is a graceful ballerina, a graceful gymnast, instead of them calling that person graceful and elegant, they call them strong and determined. Or the negativization. So the media gives Black culture. So that part. And that wrong media reinforces that wrong upbringing. That's 2. Number 3 is what I would call inexperience that you might have being around a Black, a group or culture or collection of Blacks outside of your work environment. I always tell people this when I want to know how diverse they really are as a person. I go like this. Here's my phone. I'm unlocking, and I unlock it, and I give it to them. And I say, pull up my gallery. Boy, you'd be impressed. It looks like Culture Club. A little bit of everybody. Can you do the same? Okay. Few people can. When they open their phone and they pull up their gallery, it's more than likely people who look like them. So you're not diversified. So you don't have experience being around that person except for work. And oftentimes you don't even engage socially at work. You are amicable. Now, I'm not talking about any person. I'm talking about anyone unacquainted with the culture, anyone unacquainted with Black people, anyone unacquainted with the Juneteenth, the celebration of the freedom of people. And then another would be, so that's three. Then another would be not only inexperience, but undesired, lack of desire, not wanting to get to know them, but not putting enough desire to pursue it. Like I said, when someone calls you out and say, open your phone and let me see what's in there, that would be a trigger to you that you're not diversified enough. And the desire would come to change that. That's not there, is what I'm saying. And then last but not least, after all that, is what I call the stagnatized, meaning your inertia, your lack of movement, your stagnant in taking action. That's why you did nothing on Juneteenth, although we invite you. That's why you've done nothing on buddying up, getting to know, partnering with someone, not personal. Stop with the persons of color. That's another thing. That's another thing. I'm talking specifically Black American, African American, the culture is what I'm talking about. Let me tell you why. Unless you've not seen it, because it is such a gray area, it's easy to miss it. There has been what I would call an abyss that you have silenced the person so much, you don't even see them in the room anymore. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Not only are we in the room, we probably built the corridors towards it. And speaking of that becomes a threat to people. Now, this might feel uncomfortable hearing this, but I'm emblazing a hope and a desire to just say, get to know the person without any presets that would set you apart in the first place. That's all I'm saying. And that is your own emancipation proclamation from the lack of freedom that you carry for embracing all people, and particularly Black people, into your world. Now, if you've watched this video and you feel some kind of way, meaning some discomfort, that could be taken one or two ways. It could be a motivational discomfort that goes, checkmate, let me check myself, which is good. Or it could be a negative discomfort, the audacity to tell me that's the part you need to fix. Because if you watch this all over again, you never yell, I never scream. I always use that, sometimes crazy, funny, but a calm approach to difficult talks. And the reality is, the reason that people outside of Black American, African American culture doesn't know us is they're not been inserted. They've been invited, they didn't show up. They've been welcomed, they didn't come. Welcome, the word welcome. Well, come. So, hey, well, come on, okay? Because at this point, it's all on you. It was never on us. And that is what I have learned over these last 3 years, I would say. And that would be the topic for my next video, which I'm going to do after this one, as to how I came to this understanding about the small dissonance, the small unspoken but loud dissonance between us. And it doesn't need to be there. All you have to do is make a decision to get to know a person. You made a decision to get to know your wife, or your husband, or your neighbor, or your community activist. You make a decision to get to know a person. So get to know a different culture, one that you knew nothing about before. And now is a wonderful time to do so. Namaste. And I love you. If you've gotten this far, please click like. Please click subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye.